Paul, your top two running backs, Chaz and Barrett, kind of an interesting story. You didn't know till the summer you got Chaz. Allen originally was going to play defense. When things settled down and you had both guys, what expectations did you have for how they would develop and what roles they might have for the offense this year, and how did they fit in so far?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know if you had complete certainty, but you had confidence. And, from the first time in having conversations with Chaz, you quickly realized that kind of who he was and his competitive nature and kind of his purpose and why behind all of his circumstances. And then when he was able to get here and be around the guys and you see him work, and then as you get going and you have a chance to work with him in the room, you felt real good. Did we know what exactly? No, but you certainly felt like, okay, this is really good one for us. And then with Braylon, there was even in his recruitment there was some uncertainty of what is the best position for him, and we were having conversations with him, and I think it speaks to who he is. Is truly going to be whatever he thinks best for this team. And I think that's a reflection of a couple things. One, there's some self-confidence in that he can contribute, and two, humble enough, whatever I can do for this team. And so you felt confident going in, and the same thing then when you're around him and you saw the purpose behind his actions, really behind both of them, then you started feeling good and knew it was needed some work, and it continues to need work, but you had the makings of the right kind of guys.
When you've watched the film and gone back and looked at what's happened on third down this season, can you explain what you think some of the challenges have been and what you can do to create some more first downs in those situations?
Sure. It's a combination of, not all of them are third longs, and so how do you find ways to be effective on third or fourth short yardage, and knowing you're going to have some loaded boxes and whatnot. And then as you continue backwards, it just comes down to did the scheme give them a chance? And I think you always got to look at that, and then are we executing on it? And to do that, it's going to take everyone, and when we do, then we've got a pretty good chance at it. Certainly you got to go still compete. A lot of those you still have to win a matchup. You still have to finish a block, finish a throw, finish a catch. And so it's not just one thing, but I think it's in the end, it's you got to be productive, and to be productive you got to be on. And there's got to be consistency across the board. You do that, then you give yourself a much better chance.
Steve?
I know y'all had some issues with red zone efficiency earlier this season, but it's been kind of a league-wide problem. A lot of teams are really struggling in the red zone this year. And I was just wondering why you think that's the case, why it's been such a conference-wide issue.
Yeah, I don't know that, you're aware of it as you prepare, but, I spend the time focusing on, our team, offensively and defensively, and I know the times we've struggled, ball security has been one of them. You got to take care of that, and then you got to. There's a time when you got to make plays, and those teams that do, they're successful down there. I think there's really good defenses in this league. I think you got to certainly that's part of it, and then it's you got to do you got to do everything right, but that's always been the case, so I don't know as far as if anything's any outlier, any trend. I think good defenses, and I know for us, there's times we need to be more efficient and consistent, and then I think it comes your way.
Down, back. Paul, when you do your game study of Iowa, obviously a very good team in the league, but they were handled pretty good against Purdue a couple of weeks ago. What are the things that you look for from that tape that you can take to Saturday's game?
Well, I think it's all, a body of work that you're preparing for. And, certainly each game, you see, you kind of understand, okay, how this game played out. But I think that, as you prepare for a team, you take a look at who are they and what are they doing, what are they capable of, what are their strengths, and what do you have to do, what kind of plan do you have to come up with to give your team its best chance. But it's a really well coached football team, got very good players, and I think they understand offensively, defensively, special teams. They understand who they are, and they understand what they're asked to do, and I think they do it extremely well. And so you can't just look at it. One game's one game, and yet been fortunate enough to be able to go against this team, and it's it's a good football team, and I see the same thing this year without having played them yet, obviously, but it's always a challenging week, and I think that's why our kids get excited about it, and we need to have a great week of preparation to give ourselves the best chance.
Well, you guys, because of injuries, you guys are stretched pretty thin at tight end against Purdue. It looked like Jaylen Franklin was in there making some situations that in the past he hadn't been asked.
Right.
What did he give you Saturday, in particular as a blocker?
Yeah, he gave us, I thought he did some really good things, and that's what's kind of interesting as you go throughout a season, that guys will get an opportunity if they do the work and put themselves in position for it, and then he got it, and I thought he put it in there, and the goal line, he had a nice block and did some other things well, and that can sometimes give a guy confidence, and he's got to be able to build on it, and a lot of times that can help you kind of now and as you prepare, okay, I do know now what that's like, what it feels like, and yet I think that, the credit to him, it didn't just start, last week when it looked like he's gonna, we're gonna need you. It's been going on, and so I think you go across the board. There's a group of guys that maybe aren't getting a lot of snaps, but they're going to be called upon, and when they are called upon, they need to feel confident enough to be able to go in there and do their job, and the team's going to need them. And I thought he was a good example of that.
Paul, I heard you think from Saturday. Was there a consistent theme in the fumbles? You mentioned after the game, you guys are maybe just trying to get a little bit more out of play, and that caused it, or did you see something else fundamentally that guys weren't doing?
Yeah, I think that, you go back, and I think what drove it, like on Dean's, I thought he was trying to make something happen. Braylon, it was not first contact, he's trying to make something happen again, and, Graham's fumble, it was a missed assignment, should have had someone for him. Then you can go back and you still can look at, there is a, technique, where you're carrying the ball, and, we had the one going in the goal line where, he's got the ball out, and they did a nice job punching. We didn't lose the ball there, but, the ball's still on the ground. So I think you still then go back and you got to clean up the things in how you're carrying the ball. And then, I don't believe it was on any of these ones that just happened, but then everyone can kind of own it. Can you finish your block a little bit more to keep that guy from coming in? Oftentimes it's the second guy in that can cause it. And so I think everyone's got to try to take ownership of what is a way that they can help in securing the football.
Paul, going back to those fumbles too, Braylon mentioned that a lot of the guys came up to him and just showed support and just helped him move on and onto the next plays, especially in moments like that. And from then on, how are you seeing this team grow from a chemistry standpoint?
I think we've had it, and going into this year, when I talk about I like this team, one of the reasons I say that and said that and can still say that is I think they truly care about each other. And they know if someone's all in and put it all out there. And if you do that, they're going to appreciate that. And when things don't go your way, you're talking about an example there with Braylon, but there's a number of them that happen every game, and they happen in practice, and they happen, sometimes off the field. Just as guys go through it, and I think it's a good feeling when you know there's guys that care about you, and they'll do whatever they can. And many of the times, guys have been there before, right? And they're sharing it. Braylon's young, and so when someone comes up to him that's lived it before and says it, that can be good. But we all got to own our part in it, but we all got to help each other grow from it too.
Paul, what has led to the progress the offensive line has made, particularly run blocking the last handful of games, and how would you say you've seen Joe handle this whole season, even early in the season when things weren't going as well as you might have liked?
Yeah, I think that the one thing Joe and the group has done is they've continued to work, and they've continued to focus on the things that they can control. And it doesn't take much for a play to be off, and so when you recognize that, okay, how do we clean that up? And so I think it's a normal progression, and sometimes you have it, sometimes everyone sees it, and sometimes, just those in the room see it, sometimes it's in between that, right? But they just continue to, I think they've got confidence in themselves, and they trust each other, and they kind of roll up their sleeves, and we're in this together. And it is, for the run game to go, it takes everyone. So often it gets put on the line. How's the line doing, right? And it takes everyone. And it's the fullbacks, the tight ends, the receivers, it's the running backs on their tracks. All that adds in. And so I think that you just keep grinding, you keep working at it, and I think that's what they've been doing. And we still got room for improvement. We still got work, and each week you get tested differently. That's kind of the fun thing about this game.
Coach, you faced 3 good ranked opponents really early on in this season, even though it didn't fall the way you wanted it to. Is that something that's playing to your advantage now that guys can pull from, or how does that work in your favor?
Well, I think that you have to take advantage of all your experiences, and whatever that may be, and how do you take from it. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but there's things that you did well in that game or against that individual, and you're done playing that team, but you can build off of that. And the same can be said, and if you didn't do something well, okay, how do I learn from it? So I think it's more just a product of all your experiences that you draw upon, because it's all about how you go forward. And so I think, particularly me, I don't look back and try to play any of those comparison games. These things happen. What do we take away from it, and how do you move forward and continue to grow?
Well, it's not often that you're going to get asked about a center, even though you've coached a lot of good ones. Just what do you see from Iowa's Tyler Linderbaum, that he's been getting a lot of attention, playing really well this year?
Yeah, deservedly so, in my opinion. And he's a really good player, and technically, you see it. He plays the game, and you're right. We've been fortunate to be around and seen a lot of good linemen, and just does a lot of those things that you watch it and you appreciate it. And it's I think he makes those around him better as well. And he's one that stands out, and there's kind of an efficiency to it to me, and there's certainly it's impressive, where linemen, like when they're always on, and you see where his body is, and the control that he has for it, and like I said, kind of when you see him work with others, and and how he can kind of help those right around him. I think those are things that make him impressive.
Okay, time for one more. Cal.
Well, other side of the ball for Iowa, I think going into the Purdue game, they had 16 picks, of almost 3 a game. What factors had allowed them to turn it over so much? Because they were setting their offense up in really good field position during that stretch.
Yeah, I think you know, they are a great example of a group that plays together, and I think they've got enough experience and understanding, combine that with good football players, that I think that it's a group that, you know, a lot of those, and we've talked about it before, come from other guys doing their part, and then the end result or the finished product is what you're talking about. And I think you see that, and I think it's also, you know, once you get it, you kind of know how to do it, and then you do it again, and it just reinforces it. And so I think it's a confident group, and when that starts to happen, that can be dangerous.